At the beginning of this story, we meet Kevin, an 11-year-old brainless kid with a deep interest in history. One night, something very interesting happens to him. When he opens his cupboard, he finds a time portal inside. Suddenly, 7 thieves, who are actually time travelers, enter his room. Kevin can't believe his eyes. These time travelers have a map of the universe. People say they go to places where wars are happening, collect treasures, and return. But Kevin isn't a thief or greedy. He has no interest in material things. Still, he decides to go with them because he wants to witness history firsthand. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Suddenly, his entire room is bathed in blue light, and a strange scene appears behind him. He realizes the time portal is open. He wants to step inside, but his parents have always told him, "Kevin, wherever you go, let us know before you leave." Now, Kevin doesn't have time to inform them, so he jumps in with the thieves. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself on a Viking ship. In front of him is a massive ship flying a Macau flag. This makes him realize he is witnessing a war between American and Chinese Vikings. The thieves traveling with Kevin have no interest in the battle. They are here only for the treasure. While looting, they don't even realize they've entered the Queen's ship. Soon, her soldiers capture them. Just as they are about to be executed, the thieves' leader, a girl, starts speaking to the Queen in Chinese. Kevin is shocked. How does she know every language? He soon learns that all the time travelers wear special caps that allow them to understand and speak any language. One of them hands Kevin a cap, and suddenly, he, too, can understand everything. To save himself and his companions, Kevin comes up with an idea. He remembers reading in history books that, 2 days from now, 3 ships from different countries will attack the Queen's fleet. To avoid destruction, Kevin advises her to change course through the icy waters at night. This strategy was originally something the Queen would have thought of 2 days later, but since Kevin comes from the future, he already knows about it. Impressed, the Queen is so pleased with Kevin that she insists he stay with her and continue offering valuable advice. However, Kevin cannot stay because a new time portal opens in the water. He jumps in with the travelers, and when he regains consciousness, he finds himself on a vast grassland. This is the construction site of Stonehenge. Huge stones stand in formation. Kevin had always believed aliens built them, but he now learns that the people of Stonehenge placed them here to pass the time. Seeing history unfold before his eyes excites Kevin. As night falls, the time travelers properly introduce themselves. Kevin learns they were once servants of God, but grew tired of following orders. In their desire for freedom, they fled. However, after escaping, they realized they needed resources to survive. That's why they resorted to stealing. To make things easier, they even stole God's map. Kevin doesn't like stealing and refuses to help them. They agree to return him to his own time the next morning. But when morning comes, they find themselves in yet another war zone. This time, they arrive in ancient Greece, just as a famous battle is about to begin. They witness soldiers hiding inside a massive wooden horse, planning to infiltrate an enemy palace. The time travelers are curious and climb inside the horse. Before the horse can be moved into the palace, the soldiers outside decide to set it on fire for entertainment. The people hidden inside panic, fearing their doom. However, before the horse is completely burned, a messenger arrives with an order. Do not burn the horse. It is too beautiful. Take it into the palace instead. Their lives are spared, and the horse is brought inside. While the time travelers focus on looting, Kevin wanders around and encounters a queen with the ability to predict the future. She tells him, "Kevin, you will soon save this world. You are destined for greatness." Meanwhile, the time travelers finish their theft and prepare to send Kevin back to his time. However, at the same moment, Satan learns that someone has stolen God's map. He sends his minions to find it, tracking the thieves to Kevin's house. When Satan arrives, Kevin isn't home. He's still traveling through time. Instead, his parents are there. With a terrifying gaze, Satan turns them into stone statues. Luckily, Kevin returns home just in time to witness this. He rushes to his companions for help, but they refuse to face the devil. Instead, they open another time portal and escape. Kevin follows them, determined to bring them back to save his parents. The stolen map also travels with them, preventing Satan from taking it. The time travelers arrive in a jungle filled with wild tribes. Kevin has heard stories that jungle people eat outsiders. He grows nervous and warns his friends. However, the tribe's people greet them warmly, offering them fruits and gifts before leading them to their queen's palace. It's not a grand palace, but it's well maintained. But what treasure is there to steal here? The tribe's people live a simple life and own no riches. The thieves lose hope until they spot a crown made of peacock and parrot feathers. It's not worth much, but to maintain their tradition of stealing from every place they visit, they take it. Afterward, the tribe's people bring the travelers new clothes. Kevin panics again. He recalls legends that tribes first feed and dress their victims before sacrificing them. Terrified, the travelers try to escape, but the time portal hasn't opened yet. They run until they reach a cliff, but the tribespeople catch up and take them back. Just when it seems like the end, the queen picks up a knife, not to harm them, but to cut fruit. In reality, all the stories Kevin had heard were wrong. The tribe doesn't sacrifice people. They only offer corn as a symbolic lesson to thieves. Hearing this, the travelers grow even more frightened, as they have stolen plenty, including the queen's crown. But to their surprise, she already retrieved it. Now, the time portal finally opens. One by one, they jump into it, landing in a vast desert 10,000 years in the past. Kevin is furious. He doesn't care about time travel anymore. He just wants to save his parents before Satan attacks them. But to do so, they must travel to a time when his parents were still safe. And so, Kevin urges the travelers to return home before it's too late. He wanted to take them somewhere before the devil arrived. But the time travelers told him it wasn't possible. They could travel through time, but they couldn't change it. Any alteration could disrupt the balance of the entire world. Hearing this, Kevin grew angry. Phoebe noticed his frustration and tried to calm him down. Relax, Kevin. Your mom and dad are behind, but... Kevin wasn't a child anymore. He interrupted. Phoebe, don't you see? These people are from the Neanderthal era, the first generation of humans. They had traveled to ancient times, where there was no treasure, but the time travelers had to steal something. So, Phoebe's companions stole dinosaur eggs, only to realize they belonged to a massive dragon-like bird. Meanwhile, Kevin took the skull of a dead dinosaur, knowing it would be worth a fortune in the real world. As he ran with the skull, he noticed a giant bird chasing him. Before it could attack, Kevin and the others jumped into an open time portal. This time, they arrived in Europe, where a deadly plague had spread, causing people to die from jaundice. The locals believed the time travelers were magicians and blamed them for the disease. Before they could be harmed, Kevin stepped forward, holding the massive dinosaur skull. Seeing this, the villagers assumed they were legendary hunters who fought giant beasts. Impressed, they offered them a job, to hunt down black cats, believing the animals were responsible for the plague. Kevin quickly warned the cats die, the rat population will explode, and the entire city will be overrun. It'll be impossible to live here. Later, they met the king in a bar, where he shared his biggest problem: his city had been taken over. Since he thought the travelers were dragon hunters, he believed they would be skilled warriors who could help reclaim his kingdom. Phoebe panicked. She was a thief, not a warrior. She couldn't fight a war. The king began to suspect they weren't dragon hunters at all, but magicians. The time travelers needed to escape. As they planned to open a new time portal, a group of men arrived to steal Kevin's dinosaur skull, realizing it was real and valuable. How are we supposed to fight them? One of the travelers asked. Phoebe had an idea. She set fire to parts of the village, draped the villagers in white cloth, and made it seem like they were ghosts. She hoped the soldiers would believe the village was cursed and leave out of fear. But the trick failed. Then Kevin stepped forward, claiming to be a magician. He pulled out his mobile phone, took a video, and showed it to the soldiers. See? I have powerful magic. Some of the soldiers were terrified, but their general wasn't fooled. He snatched Kevin's phone and ordered it to be burned. Phoebe ran off, telling her friends, "Hold them off for 5 minutes. I'll open a time portal and save us." Time passed, and Phoebe still hadn't returned. Their lives were in danger. Thinking fast, Kevin tried another trick. He spoke to the soldiers. Hurting people doesn't make you strong. A good leader is someone who cares for others. His words resonated with the soldiers. They decided to confront their king, realizing he was ruling unfairly. Instead of controlling people, he should protect them. But when they entered the king's chambers, they found him too distracted to listen. He was playing video games on Kevin's phone. Taking advantage of the moment, Kevin and his friends slipped away and escaped. One day, Phoebe arrived and spent 2 weeks with them. She came alone and told everyone to save themselves because she didn't need them. "That's why I didn't bring anyone with me," she said. "But I did bring something for you all." She revealed large dinosaur eggs. The king was astonished by the massive eggs and decided to raise the dragons inside them. He was speaking excitedly about the eggs hatching when, suddenly, the mother of the giant birds arrived. She devoured the king as the villagers watched in horror. But instead of a time portal opening, a massive wave of water appeared. From it, a giant head emerged. It was Poseidon, the god of the sea. Poseidon sent them to the god of the world, whose map the time travelers had stolen. But the god was not angry. Instead, he gave Kevin a task: find a lost map and return it. Then, the god sent them far into the past, where they landed near China. There, they saw workers building the Great Wall of China. Since no outsiders were allowed to pass, they were stopped. But Kevin once again used his knowledge of history. He told the king, This Great Wall of China will take 2,000 years to complete. The king grew furious, but was impressed by Kevin's confidence. He allowed them to move forward. A new time portal opened, and they traveled to another era. This time, they found themselves in the middle of a great war. Here, a horrifying new weapon was being used. Sick and dead people were catapulted toward enemies like living missiles. This was the first war in history to use biological warfare. As the travelers ran, they discovered that the person who had stolen the map of the universe was in this time period. They chased after him and finally caught him. However, his accomplice had deceived him, stealing a piece of the map for himself. When Phoebe confronted him about the betrayal, he said, "I don't want to steal, so I have to go back." He immediately opened a time portal and vanished before anyone could stop him. Phoebe's other accomplice tried to speak, but before he could, the sound was misinterpreted as a cough by the war-torn people around them. And as they knew, the sick were used as weapons. Before they could be captured, the time travelers quickly opened another portal and escaped. Now they had two missions. First, they needed to find and complete the map of the universe to return it to the god. Second, they had to rescue Kevin's parents, who were imprisoned in hell by the devil. As they discussed their next move, the ground suddenly shook and rose beneath them. They realized a giant being from the sea was standing before them. What they had mistaken for a pole was actually his cap. Kevin pleaded with the giant for help. "My parents are in danger. The devil has imprisoned them. Please, take us to the gates of hell." The giant agreed and, with a few massive strides, carried them to the entrance of hell. They stood before a terrifying scene. Flames roared, and an eerie glow surrounded the entrance. The thieves were too frightened to enter, but Kevin, determined to save his parents, bravely stepped forward and entered hell. Inside, he found his parents unharmed but bound in chains. He confronted the devil. "Let them go." The devil smirked. "I will, but only on one condition. Give me the blueprint you stole from God." Kevin was puzzled. "You're so powerful. Why didn't you steal it yourself?" The devil replied, "God placed a divine shield around the blueprint. It protects the map from creatures like me. But if I get it, I will rule the entire world." As they argued, a loud crackling sound echoed through hell. A brilliant blue light appeared. God had arrived to reclaim the blueprint. A heated debate began between God and the devil. Both wanted the blueprint for their own reasons. Kevin interrupted. "First, free my parents. Then I'll decide what to do." He turned to the devil. "Why do you want this blueprint?" "To rule the universe," the devil answered. Then Kevin asked God, "And what do you want it for?" God replied, "To destroy this world and correct my mistakes. I will create a new one." Kevin was shocked. This world doesn't need to be destroyed. So, he made a bold decision. He handed the blueprint to the devil. God was stunned. "Why would you side with him?" Kevin explained, "Throughout my time travels, I've seen wars fought for selfish reasons. Innocent people died. But I've also witnessed beauty, kindness, and hope. Those things shouldn't be destroyed. But you," he looked at God. "You wanted to erase it all. That's why I gave the blueprint to the devil." God was furious. He attacked the devil, and the two beings clashed in a massive battle. Taking advantage of the chaos, Kevin and his companions quickly opened a new portal and escaped. But as they fled, one of Kevin's friends revealed the biggest twist of all. He had swapped the blueprint for a fake one. Neither God nor the devil had the real blueprint. Kevin had saved the world from destruction. As the devil realized the deception, he roared in rage. Meanwhile, Kevin and his companions laughed as they looked toward their next adventure. The season ended with a mystery. Where would their journey take them next? So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.